50K ready. What's going on? Another co-host in the house tonight. A local guy. I say local because he's from New York, and where I'm from, anything north of New York City is considered upstate, even like right outside the city. But this guy, he's really upstate. Jordan Buck, what's up, buddy? How are you?
How's it going, Brad?
So usually I'd like to break down like when I met people and how I got in touch with guests. But I before I get to that, this episode is going to be a lot about, what you have going on in the very near future. And I really wanted to bring light to my audience. Besides all the dope things and how fast you are as an ultra runner, you're doing some and have done some amazing work with veterans. You are an Army vet. I would like to just like have you start off, like kind of introduce yourself and like how you are an Army veteran. Tell me about the Army, how you got involved in the Army, what you did in the Army, and what you've been up to kind of since you got out. And then we'll talk about what you're going to be doing later in May.
Okay. I joined the Army at 18, turned 19 in basic, not right out of high school, but kind of like, I don't know, a couple month space there. I went in as a Cav Scout. They're kind of like a forward observer, I guess, to put it in simple terms. Like we would go out and get a lay of the land, write it down, tell the commander, stuff like that, and get a big, broad view of what's going on, I guess. I served 4 years at Fort Hood. That's where I learned like about running, because I hadn't ran at all, like ever. Like I would do like the pacer test in high school and stuff like that, and I'd be good at it. I would like play basketball, and I was active. Like I rode BMX bikes throughout high school, so I was active, but not like in the sense of like running and fitness type of stuff like that. So like when I got to basic training, like running was a big part of it, because you take a PT test and that's like 130 your score is your run score. So they were eager to get us out there running quick. And like the first time I like ran, I beat my drill sergeants and stuff, and they were all pretty heated about it, and they like singled me out a lot and brought me on like extra runs and all this stuff. And then that after basic, that carried over into like my actual unit too, because there would be like runs all over the post and stuff like that, and they would want to get me involved. And so that's where that came from. That's where that started, I guess.
I've talked to a few veterans that when they got out of the Army, the last thing they wanted to do was run. Like they took some time off, and then they're like, they slowly worked their way back. But when they were done, they were like, no more PT for me for at least a couple of years.
That's honestly exactly how it was for me too. Because like I got out in 2016, and like kind of like, because I was like drinking and partying and stuff prior to the Army, got out of the Army, got in the Army, and that's like, drinking and partying and stuff in the Army. And then that carried over to like, to getting out and stuff. And when I was like in the Army, I didn't see a big problem with it, because I was like, I'm young, I'm doing all this stuff. But as I got older, and as the years passed since I'd been out of the Army and the stuff was just kind of continuing, it came to a point where I was like, all right, something's got to give. Like I need direction, like something in my life that's going to like not be this all the time. This can't be it. This can't be like the best with.
Were you always going to be an Army kid? Do you have family in the Army, or like was college ever a thought for you?
No, not. It was a thought. No, school is not something that I enjoyed.
Totally get it. I do want to, one other thing I want to bring up. So I told a couple of people that you were coming on, and there's people that we both associate with, and someone goes, is that the dude that starts all of his reels, "Good morning, cowards"?
Yes.
Can you talk about, because I'm sure you've gotten probably some kickback from people that say, like, where did that come from, and what's the true meaning behind when you address your audience as cowards?
That's hilarious. There's like this video of this guy goes to, it's actually ridiculous. This guy, like, he goes to like a town board meeting, or a school board meeting, and he like walks up to the microphone. He's like, good morning, cowards, and then just starts roasting everybody in the room, and they're all like, oh, it's a freedom of speech. You can't say that. He's like, it's a freedom of speech. He's like, you're a bunch of fucking cowards. You're all cowards. So it's not, I'm not like, it's just a funny thing, to say.
It's an inside joke that only a few people know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good. Now at least everybody knows that you're not roasting
Yeah.
them. But no, that is.
Yeah, no, no,
I
no.
kind of had an idea because I'd seen that video, or at least when you say it, it makes me think of that video. I'm glad
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly what you were referencing.
Yeah, yeah. That video is
So
hilarious.
I almost met you almost a year to the day. We're recording this on April
Yeah.
10th. And last year, I captained an aid station at the Shore to Shore 100K and 50K here on Long Island. And it's one of those things where I think it's a pretty local race. And locally, I know who all the fast people are. Like looking at the roster, I'm like, okay, this guy's going to push the front. This guy's going to push the front. And where my aid station was like 26 miles into the race or so.
Yep.
And at first, your buddy Spencer, shout out to Spencer, dude's a legend. I love when we see gym rats
Shout
get
out
pulled into the
Spencer.
ultra scene.
Love that
But he
guy.
pulls up, and I'm like, I don't recognize this cat, and he's kind of here a little bit early. And then here comes Jordan Buck, and he's like, "Come on, Bucky." And you came in like slamming pickle juice and like was just a character. And I'm thinking to myself, where the hell is this? Where did he come from? Like, and I got to speak to Spencer, learn that you came down and then you turned around and came back. So I got to see you twice.
Yeah.
How'd you find out about Shore to Shore? What brought you down to Long Island for that race?
So that was um that all kind of happened at once because it was like that was like my second year competing, and like my first year I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know like I knew I was headed to 100 miles regardless of what the fuck happened in between, but I was like, all right, how do we get there? So I did like the first year I went from 50K up to 50 miles, and then the next year I was like thinking all winter, like, how am I going to work this year? Because I can do 100 this year. Like, I need to get this done. So I started, I got my tax return and I just bought the consent, like, okay, 50, 100K, 100 miles done. Like, there's my schedule. That's what's going to happen. And yeah,
And
so
you did pretty well. I mean, you fell off a little at the end, or you got lost or something like that. What happened at the end there?
yeah, that race is like, it was horrible to me just from like a lot of things happened during it. That was like my first, like, I guess, ultra, like, real ultra marathon experience. Like, I had done, I think, 250 milers at that point, but like nothing, like, I got lost a couple times, but like the race director stepped in and fixed it like quickly on those. Um, but this one, it was like, it's like that unknown distance kind of thing too, and you don't know like what's basically what had happened. Like, after I think I saw you the second time was when my ribs started like crying, like they were like in such severe pain, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And then I realized like I had my cell phone in my front pocket, and it was just bouncing off my ribs the whole time.
Mm,
So then I switched it, and it just happened on both sides, and I like hadn't figured out my vest enough to. I think the vest might have been like brand new,
right.
and like I hadn't figured out where I needed to put that to not make that happen. So there was that, and I kept getting lost, and I just ended up getting like super super frustrated. I came out of like some section, and it was like a fork, and there was tape to the left and tape to the right, so I had to take a 50-50 shot, and then um, I had thrown up with that. This is where I met Mike Petrina too. Shout out to Mike Petrina. Um, this is, yeah, that is the race where I discovered pickle juice too. And I was like, they had like the little shooters, so I was just throwing them back, and they were like working magic. And I was like, I'm all about these
You
things.
hit so many of those at the aid station I was at.
I was like, I am all about this pickle juice right now. And I want to tell another funny thing about that, but I got to like, I would say, I don't know exactly what mileage, probably like 50. The aid station, it was the second to last aid station, so the one like after you, and they had not pickle juice shots, but the volunteers said they had like the empty thing of pickles. Like there was no more pickles.
Actual
Yeah,
pickle
it was just
juice.
straight pickle juice. And I was like, holy shit, I get to have this much pickle juice right now. And I just like threw it back and like chugged it. And then I took like 4 steps and it all just came out. And then Mike Petrina, who was in third at that time, passed me. And he like, patted me on the back and stuff. And then I like him and I dueled for a bit, and then I took another wrong turn, which is like the fifth one at that point, and then came back behind. Yeah, I think it was in. I think that pushed me back to fourth place because my
Yeah, I know
buddy,
Barney was up there too, wasn't he?
yeah, and Pablo.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I ended up behind those guys, passed them, and then tried to catch up to Mike Katrina, and then we were kind of doing again, and then I got lost again, and then my head just like exploded, and I was like, I'm fucking done. Like I don't care anymore. Like I don't want to do this. My ribs are broken, and I just walked it in.
Well, there was I mean, obviously more people know you now, and we'll get to reasons why. But there was a bunch of people like, I saw that kid. He looked like he was done at the end, and yeah, like explaining all that frustration. And I've actually never dabbled in the pickle juice because being a very
I
terrible
recommend it.
being a very terrible drinker, we used to chase Jameson shots with pickle
Yeah,
juice.
yeah,
Dude, I
yeah,
don't know if you've ever done that with picklebacks. And
yeah.
I'm too afraid that if I take a shot of pickle juice, I'm gonna
It's
need
gonna
to
taste like Jameson.
I'm gonna need some Jameson, man. I'm gonna be scratching out for the Jameson, and so yeah. So I mean, that was the first time I got to meet you, and we shot the shit on DMs back and forth, and then you ended up getting a 100 miler, and you won your first 100 miler, right? And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
smashed. What was your time?
It was 21 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I as somebody that's done hundreds and somebody that like I did have Alina hoping for like my fast sub 2400, it's not easy to go sub 24, and then you start thinking about a cut, even just forget fitness, because I mean you're fast as hell and you're super fit, but so many things have to go right, even as you just mentioned in the 100K to go sub 24. So the fact that
Yeah.
you were able to put all the things outside of running together to knock that out, I think that's like the most impressive thing about going sub 24 in your first 100 is the lack of experience that you have going in. Like, did you make any major mistakes in that race? Like,
Yeah,
should you
yeah, I
have gone
did. Yeah.
19 hours, but you ended up going 21?
I should have done something different because I know I I like I don't like to look at like my placement all that much. Like I like it, it looks good and it's awesome, but I like to focus a lot on the time because it's like the time is really what matters. Like I can name 6 people that would have showed up to that 100 and beat my ass, and it just would have depended on if they wanted to run that race or not. So I'm not always like I appreciate a win and it like
Good point.
motivates me to be better, but it's like I'm most of the time I'm like looking at my time and I'm like 21 hours, that's good.
Any chance you're coming back down for shore to shore next weekend?
No, 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 no.
Could I talk you into it for a fast 50K, a full send 50K?
I don't think so. Next, no, no, I actually have, I'm doing a 50K.
Oh, okay.
My friend's doing a little thing. We're gonna
Okay.
keep, it's kind of quiet, but he's doing a pretty cool thing
All right. Dope.
next weekend.
Um, you can talk about this. Won't come out till after the fact if you want to talk about what you're going to do this weekend.
No, it's not that big
Okay.
of a deal.
Okay.
He's like real subtle about stuff like that, and he hasn't
Okay.
told anybody except those who want to know. So
Right on. So we'll just have to follow along. Well, I'll follow
yeah,
along because, like I said, this is going to come out after that fact. But
yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
we worked through. So that was, I mean, that was April, and then you did your 100, and then I tried to talk you into coming down to Long Island again to do one of Patrina's races, the Backyard Ultra,
Oh yeah,
and you had known about the Backyard Ultra, and it's funny because the previous year I told Mike Petrina, like, I got this guy, he's coming in and he's gonna win. Like, and that was me. That was Jacob.
yeah, yeah.
And then the next year, so this past year, he was like, "Oh, is Jake gonna win again?" I'm like, he's hurt, he has broken ribs, he lacerated his liver. I'm like, I don't know, but I was like, if it's not him, it's gonna be Jordan Buck. And he's like, who the hell's Jordan Buck? And then I reminded him who you were. And he's like, oh, that kid, he can battle. And I'm like, yep, he's going to come down and battle. And when you and Spence were finally like, we're coming down, I told him, he's like, oh, I think Petrina DM'd me and he was like, Jordan Buck's on the list. I'm like, game over. I'm like, it's over. And he's like, we'll see. And you ended up winning the race. And that was your first backyard, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So can we talk, because I've done that race twice. I did better. And I think the one thing that I see in backyard ultras is things go from good to bad very quickly. I think I made it 75 miles or something, whatever that loop is that finishes in the low 70s. But I'll tell you, at 100K, I thought I was going to go for 3 days. And I feel like there's guys like you and like Moondog, who's also an Army vet. Like, obviously you guys are built a little bit differently, but what do you think it is about? Because this one, I mean, last year when Moondog won it, he got 100 miles and it was him and one other guy going for like the last 5 loops. This year, there was a grip of people that made it
like 7.
Yeah. So do you know? And I asked you the same question the year before. Like, do you look around and know that you're going to win, or is every single loop? I mean, and I'm not saying you don't have to be like, I knew I was going to win that shit, but like, there's got to be a mental side where you're like, maybe I'm not going to win, but you're saying to yourself, I can go at least 5 more hours. I can go at least once the sun comes up. I'm back. Like, I just got to get through. Like, what was the hardest hour or the hardest loop in that whole race for you?
The hardest was definitely in the middle of the night. There was a point. The hardest thing I did, and Jake Mooney did this right, and I might have to take it next year, but I might have to take a little bit out of his book next year, is like the in between, because it was cold out. It was freezing cold.
So cold.
And I would hop into my warm ass Subaru and sit there and eat, and then like start dozing off. And Spencer, who had transitioned beautifully from runner to crew chief, would be like, no, get up. But there was a time where I literally like did this. I'm like, I'm done. And I think that was probably that was before Jake dropped. So I think it was like probably 80 something. And I literally was like, I'm done, looking at the timer, and it was like 15 seconds. And he was like, are you sure about that? And like looked at me, and I was like, no, I'm not sure about that. So I like opened the door, and then the cold air hit me, and I like rolled out, and then it was all good.
So what's the page you got to take out of his book? Like, not getting into the warm van, like actually just sticking with the elements?
I think so, yeah. Or using it less or something.
Did you have like a goal time per lap? Like, were you pacing laps, or were you just going out there by feeling like, I'm just going to run casually, I'm going to run easy and know that I'm going to come in enough time? Because there's definitely a getting in too soon and having too much time to sit around. And there's also getting there too late where you can't take a dump if you need to, or grab a bite to eat, or do whatever you need to do. There's definitely a sweet spot for coming in.
Yeah. So it's leading up to that, I was like very unsure about that, because I was like, I don't know. I knew it's definitely not going to benefit me to whiz through them. Mm-hmm. Unlike the guy who was whizzing through them. I don't remember that guy's name, but he was fucking moving out every lap.
Every lap of the whole day.
Every lap. When 100 came and he was like, I'm good there, I was like, thank God, dude. Like, I don't know what his plans are or what he's doing, but he is moving. And
before I sizzled out, I gave him a run for 2 or 3 laps. I was like, I'm gonna try and beat this guy just on 1 lap.
But like a week prior, we'll get into more of this stuff later, but we had the meeting with the RWB team, and one of the guys on that team is Gavin Woody, and Gavin Woody had gone like 180 laps, 180 miles at Big's backyard, coming right behind Courtney to Walter, and I think it was Harvey Lewis, and I had heard about that going in, so that was I'm like, dude, I'm doing a backyard, and a bunch of those guys have done backyards, and they all said 45 minutes to 50 minutes is going to be your sweet spot. You don't have to push it too hard to get there, and then you have 10 minutes of rest. It's not like a ridiculous amount, but it's enough to get some shit done. It's enough to sit down for a minute. and that's what I shot for, and that's pretty much what I got every single lap. It doesn't like reflect that in the actual like lap times because the aid station was before the timer and stuff, but almost every lap I think was around 45 to 50 minutes.
Yeah, because I think that type of event definitely doesn't favor fast guys like you. And I mean,
No,
there's a guy down here, Ryan Clifford. The dude's a legend. Like he's just so fast, and
yeah,
he ran this year. And last year he went out at like just before Jake, and he was like, he not that he can't run that slow, it's just not his strength. And the same thing
yeah.
happened this year. And he's like, I don't think I'm coming back. And that was the one thing that I did say about you coming in, even to you and to like Petrino, like he might almost be too fast to be good at this, and that's definitely a thing.
It was interesting because like the first kind of lap is where I settled in because there was like what 300 people running that race,
Yeah,
and then you run down to where you run the little road down to where the trail starts, and it just bottlenecks immediately. So like I didn't start off fast. I think I was running with Spencer like just in the back hanging out, and like that first lap, I was like, am I gonna get like eliminated on the first lap? Like, am I gonna have to like go bushwhacking and start passing all these people? But like, it was just lines and lines of like clog, like walking almost the entire lap, and then I got in it at 50 minutes, and I was like, that was 50. That's what 50 minutes feels like. And I was like, oh,
we
all right.
good.
So yeah, we're good to go.
Yeah, no, and you said next year, so you're coming back.
You bet, dude. That race was so much fun. I'm ready. I was ready for next year, like 1 week after that race. That race was so much fun, and it's so different too because a lot of races I'm like in this like hyper focus, like locked in, like let's go, no time for chit chat, like pickle juice, pickle juice, like let's go, and in and out. Can't talk to anybody because I'm fucking locked in and I'm running. But this is like that's where you see like you can socialize. There's community. I met a ton of people down there that are all fantastic, and yeah,
It's one of those race styles where I feel like you either love it or hate it. I love it for those reasons as well. Well, actually, the real reason I love it is because I'm not fast, so it favors a guy like me that can just kind of putter on forever and ever and ever, and obviously not forever and ever. But I think that the good thing or the exciting thing for me now watching this race, I mean, obviously I wish it was a little warmer. I think things would change, but brutal heat would be just as bad as brutal cold.
yeah,
But I love the fact like the first year was kind of unknown. Even Petrina, who's the race director, didn't even know, and it was cool to see somebody go 100. And
yeah,
then even seeing the growth, not only in the amount of people that started, but also the competition. And now it's like there's already people talking about next year, and there's already people that are starting to be like, oh, I could do that. I could win that.
yeah.
And it's just like, what did you guys end up? You guys ended up at over 100 this year. You got the course record. What did it end up being?
112.
112. Yeah, and it's like, so if you make a 100 jump to 112, like,
But that's
do we see
yeah.
150 next
We
year?
do, we do, dude, because Jake Mooney's coming back full health, dude, and we're going to hell and back. Like,
Do you,
yeah, I,
is there a part of you that was glad it was over, or like, because I know there's some bittersweet there, like where I know Jacob last year he wanted to go more than 100. Like he's like he really he's the kind of psychopath that is like I want someone to beat me because I want to see where that threshold is. Were you
yeah,
pumped it was over, or did you want to go a few more laughs?
I was definitely pumped it was over because there was like the guy I forgot his name who came through with the assist. He was kind of I don't know if he was messing with. He was obviously trying to push it a little bit too, but he like both times he was like, all right, one more time, and then we get down, and then I'm like, all right, so I just have to sit here and go run the final lap, and then I got out, and he's out there, and then he's like, all right, one more, and then I'm like, all right, all right, so one more, and then I do it again, and then he's back out there again, like 30 seconds, and I was like, dang, we're going for another one, and then he ended up like, oh, that's it for me, man. We hugged it out, and but the thing about that was interesting, like the morning miles for that, like that I felt fucking fine. Like that, like I there was like that hitch. There was like that hitch in the middle of the night at like mile 80, and after that I was running with Julie, and she's crazy. She like it was like mile 98, and she looked back and was like, "When is this gonna start getting hard?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Come again."
But no,
But
yeah, I mean, I think that also because back to like, all right, it's probably a slow man's game, but being as fit as you are and having the VO2 max that you have, you can start to when you need to push it or when things go sour in the end, you can kind of. I mean, I know that I'm not the type of guy that's going to win that event, but I mean, as a lover of the
never say
sport, and
never.
I love seeing. I love seeing. I hope like we have because 2 years ago when Mooney won it, it was warm. Like we
Yeah,
did the whole day in a t-shirt, and then at night it may be like I think I wore maybe like a like a base layer, a long sleeve base layer, and a t-shirt. So I can't imagine if we have like a freakishly warm day where in December it's in the high 40s, low 50s.
definitely could be.
And then too, like with the organization of us, like, all right, let's put a tent together. We know logistics now. The course change for this year was really, really awesome. Last year
Yeah,
we went up and down the road. I'm sure you heard that. So it's
yeah.
like, it's, I can't wait for it. It's like December can't come fast enough.
I know. I'm excited for it too. That's awesome. I'm gonna try to get some of my other friends down there too.
Yeah. And I mean, I wonder, like, what do you think you could do? Let's
I
put it on the record now in April. What if somebody pushed you and you're having a pretty good day, no injuries, no illnesses? What would it have looked like?
I don't know if Jake was there. If Jake was there at full health, and I don't know what it would have went to. Would
Because
I?
come
I don't
on,
know if I
say a
want to
number,
say this.
Bucky. Say a number.
I don't know if I want to say this. All right. Uh, it's. I think the number is 137.
137.
I
That's
think
that.
it's 137
Okay.
because there's a certain race that requires 400 milers in the past year or so, or
Okay.
maybe it's a little bit more. And you can use one backyard ultra, but it has to be you have to have ran 137
What's that
to
race?
for it
Can
to
you tell me
count.
what that race is?
It's known, I believe, as Badwater 135.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of that one. I've heard of that one. I didn't know they were letting you use backyards for that.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. Yeah, I think I'm going to be doing some crewing there this year.
Awesome. And
Yeah, that's going to be an experience.
so we'll lead into this year.
Yeah,
And for anybody that watched my video way back in December, we had a brief chat and it all comes as somebody that makes videos, it's so nice when you have like a little mid-run interview with somebody and then they end up winning the race. It's like, yeah. But we introduced then that you would have a fundraising link coming out and we talked about Team Red, White, and Blue. Um, you want to talk briefly because now, I mean, it's been 4 months. That project has come to full fruition. I know it
yeah,
was
it's
really,
here.
really new in December, and I don't want to spoil it. It's your story to tell. I would love to get the audience on board with exactly what you guys are doing here in May.
Yeah, so myself and 12 other vets are doing a Transcon relay from San Diego to Washington, D.C. May 2nd. Starts May 2nd. Um, it's basically like the flag doesn't stop moving, period. We're all going to be moving pretty fast. 7:30 to 8-minute pace is what they want, and we're looking to set a world record. Yeah, we're trying
Is
to.
it an organized transcon or is this just something that you 12 guys are doing?
No, very organized,
Very
very,
okay.
very,
So
very
it's a
analytical.
transcon
Yeah,
race,
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say race.
right?
Yeah, transcon event, I guess. Yeah,
But there'll be other people out there besides.
yeah.
Okay,
It'll just be us running like one person at a time. So basically, it's like
but other
they
teams is
broke.
what I'm saying. Other teams.
No, 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 no,
Hmm.
no, no, no. So it's they broke us down into three teams of four.
Okay.
Four runners per team, and each team has a 8 hour shift that they're responsible for every day, and
Okay.
it's up for. Initially, we had three crew chiefs, and two of the runners had to drop out, so
Okay.
those crew chiefs got pushed to runners. Um, so now there's just one kind of floating crew chief. He's kind of managing all of us, and it's going to be up to him and basically the crews as to who's running what day. So it'll
How,
probably be. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to ask, how did they choose? Is that something you applied for? Did they reach out to you?
Yeah. So they had like applications and stuff like that, and that at the time, like this summer, this was probably about when I was running the 100 at August, I think. They, I had this other plan for this year to like do a run across New York, like from top to bottom, because I don't think anybody's ever done that before. It's like 550 miles, and I saw some guy
Like
is
Watertown in Manhattan?
from it was it's more north of Water. It was like northeast, like the northernmost. It's Rouse's Point, I think. I found was
Okay.
the northernmost point to the southernmost point, which was somewhere in Long Island, I think.
I think I'm
Probably.
the southernmost
Yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah,
Babylon is the southernmost point.
yeah. It might have been Babylon then.
Yeah.
So I saw the one guy, forgot his name, doing it in Texas, and I was like, I can probably do something like that here in New York, and was kind of planning on that. And then at the same time, like Paul Johnson had done his Transcon, so I like that's where I heard about Team Red, White, and Blue. Started following them, so I reached out to them once I started like planning trying to plan the logistics of the New York thing. And I talked to the JJ over there, and he pitched me at that time the Old Glory Ultra Relay, and I think I was just too like locked into this New York thing at the time,
Hmm.
and I was like, yeah, 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 sure. And then so fast forward, I think to the day after the 100, where because I like leading up to the 100, I kind of pushed the New York thing like aside. I was like, I just gotta lock in on this. I'm not planning any of this shit anymore. And then I was like, do I even really want to do like logistically? Is that even possible? Logistics of stuff like that suck. I do not like doing logistics and like trying to figure out where to put everything and like how we're gonna get this done. That stuff sucks. I just want to run. But so Spencer messaged Team Red, White, and Blue and was like, "Hey, Jordan just won 100 miler. You should give him a shout out." And they like shouted out, and then they DM me like, "You should consider applying for the Old Glory Ultra Relay." So
Yes.
that I was like, thought about it, like, yeah, all right. Applied for it, did some interviews, and got selected, which is such an honor, dude. It's incredible.
I know you've linked up with them. You had a little bit of a camp with them. Are they helping you with coaching? Are you guys on calls? Like, or are they just like, hey, come in fit? Like, like, I don't
No,
even know. How do you even train for that?
we got Zach Bitter.
All
We
right.
got yeah, he's been in on all of our team calls. We have his email for any questions. He came up with like training plans for us as a team and stuff like that. And he's a resource that we've all been had access to for the most part, which is just that's Zach fucking Bitter.
He's pretty fast.
Yeah, yeah, that's Zach Bitter.
And I love he's super scientific, and as like a data nerd,
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
love listening to
yeah,
him talk because
yeah. He's
he
the man.
coached one of my good friends down here, Ryan Barisi, and
Yeah.
just the like nerd conversations we had on long runs. Like he'd call me midweek and be like, "All right, I just got off the phone with Zach," and I'm like, "Hold it, dude. Wait for the long run. I want to hear all about it on the long run because I know it's going to be such an awesome conversation." So this is going down. You said May 2nd, and
Yep.
I love the fact that you guys are doing it for causes outside yourselves as well. You guys
Hmm.
are fundraising. I will make
Yeah.
sure that I get a link from you. I'll throw that in the descriptions everywhere. But I think people should know what they're donating to. What exactly does Red, White, and Blue do? And like, what does the money that's raised go towards? And are we fundraising for you specifically, or is it you that's going to a team effort? Or is it just kind of like we're raising money as a collective group, and it doesn't matter if John raises $1 million and I raise $100, we raised $1,100,000 as a team?
Hold on a second. Dex, relax, buddy. I'm having a little conversation, buddy.
Father.
So the fundraising is like, I'll send you a link to put it down. And when you go to donate, you can select like what runner, because like they have, it's all to the same pot, like red, white, and blue's pot,
right?
But they're keeping track, or kind of keeping track of how much each runner does. But I think, because I did like the parking lot 100 little fundraiser, and I think they selected my name, but it didn't come up like from me specifically, which I'm not worried about that at all. Like, if
did they
people
ask you for a minimum? Did they say like, hey, you have to raise this amount of money?
No.
Okay. Because if they did, we would make sure that shit happened.
All right, minimum is 900,000 for me.
900,000. You mentioned real quick. Let me just. You mentioned it quick, and I want to talk about the fundraiser that you did, and I wanted to try and get up there. It just logistically didn't happen for me. But then it turned out to be like a weird spring blizzard, which I guess that far upstate is not that weird. But I just remember like, oh, Jordan's doing his fundraiser. Let me get on and check his Instagram. And I got, good morning, cowards. There's a blizzard. There's a blizzard and there's nobody here. So I guess I'm running 100 miles in a blizzard on a track. Did you end up actually having some people come through and run with you for a little bit?
Yeah, we had quite a few people. A lot of guys came out there, like my friends, Spencer's friends, a lot of them set PRs. Like there was a guy, his buddy had come earlier in the day, and he set a PR of 10 miles, and which is like, that's phenomenal, even to be first of all, hold on, let's restart this whole thing. It was not on a track. It was supposed to be on a track.
Okay.
But
you did it in a parking lot instead.
Yes, the track was frozen, so we had to do it in a parking lot. So yeah, and then later on, his buddy came through and he was like, "How many miles did Dustin get?" And Dustin, I was like, "I think he got like 10." And this guy, he was like, my PR at this point is like 5 or 6 or something like that, and he did a half marathon. And I was just like, yeah. And then I had like just everybody, another one of Spencer's buddies came out and did, I think, a half marathon PR. Another one of Spencer's buddies came out and did a 50K with us. And then Jamal came and did 40 miles with us that night, which, yeah. So,
and and it's a shame because I'm sure they say to a guy like you, like, I only did a half marathon, and it's so hard to tell them, like, dude, that is still awesome.
I don't believe, yeah. People do say shit like that to me, and I don't.
No.
That's not. No, don't. It's like what's that fucking?
It doesn't matter.
Phrase like comparison is a thief of joy. Like,
yes.
Just because I'm doing what I'm doing doesn't take any less away from you for what you're doing.
I mean, it happens to me at work all the time. They're like, well, you running 1,000,000 miles? Or like, I know it's not a lot, but guess what? I went out and I ran a 5K this week, and I'm like, that's incredible. Tell me every single time you run a 5K. I want to hear about it every single time, because some people, a 5K does the same amount to their body as a 50-miler might do to us, and it's
100%.
I just want to be able to move, and I don't give a shit how far you run. I just want to make sure that you're moving and that you're outside doing dope things.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
Now, you mentioned when you start bringing world records in, I think there's a little bit of not pressure, but also room for hate. I mean, what happened with Paul when he went forward and things didn't go that well early, and he caught a little bit of shit for it. Do you think, does that add anything to the experience for you? Do you care necessarily about a world record? Are you going for the experience? I know you're going to hammer, but how important is that world record, and how closely should people be watching? And when do you say, like, all right, we still got this? Or when, in Paul's case, I think it was like 4 days in, but what is the record for the train? And does that have to be
there isn't one? Okay. There isn't one. Okay. So we're setting it.
Okay.
And
all right.
I don't know how much I'm supposed to talk about or stuff like that, but I think that RWE is going to organize events in the future amongst other branches to compete with the record that we're setting.
Okay. Because I mean, I'm sure it's a hard like FKT to say because there's obviously so many different routes.
That's the thing too, is like it's technically, I think, an American record. Like it's not Guinness because Guinness won't do team things.
Okay.
And it's like there's another organization that's going to verify it and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. Don't most people come up to New York City for their Transcons, don't they?
I I don't I think that like the accepted term or what I've heard about the accepted is like 3,000 miles.
Okay.
Or like from coast to coast 3,000 miles no matter how you get there.
Right.
I'm not sure like the specifics on that or if that's the fact or whatever, but that's just and like you were saying, it's not. This is so much bigger than a fucking record.
Right.
Like
Right.
this is like gigantic for everybody. For
I mean,
everybody.
I don't know how much traveling you've done. I lived on the West Coast for a little bit. I've done some traveling. We did 100 in the Sierras last year. I've been out to Crazy Mountain hundreds. Like just
Yeah,
knowing the things that you're gonna see and the sunrises and the sunsets, and not to mention the overnight stories you have. Like
yeah.
I'm low key so jealous.
It's that it.
Not just of the speed, but like the experience that you are going to get to undertake. It's just going to be so epic.
The experience is going to be awesome because it's like I've driven across the country before, and
Right.
that is awesome. Like just seeing coast to coast, but in this, I'm like boots on ground. You know, I'm like breathing it. Like
They
it's
hook
going to
you
be
up in
awesome.
shoes. What are you guys running in?
Yeah, so we got a free pair of shoes from GovX. Shout
Okay.
out to GovX. Um, Other than that, shoes wise, that's it.
Okay.
Um, we got a ton of gear though, a ton of other stuff. Like
Yeah.
we got fitted for like these nice Gore-Tex whole outfits.
I mean
Um,
the charity is one thing, but the brand itself is pretty dope too. Like you're wearing the hoodie right
yeah,
now. That's dope hoodie.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Do you think being a New Yorker now you've piqued my interest. Like is that New York thing off the table?
Uh, I don't. Yeah, it is for now. Like I don't think I have. I see. The thing is that when I first like started this, it was like trail running that got me
Hmm.
addicted to running. It was like it was never like the day to day like running on pavement, running fast.
Right. Right.
That
Right.
really hook, line, and sinker got me. It was trail running and like running these races. It's just like running on trails. It's just like what's going on here, you know? And when I first started, I was like, that's it. Like I'm a trail runner. Like I'm locked in. I have to, you know, based on where I live, I have to run on pavement during the weeks. During the weekends, I go out trail running. And I was like, you know, my friend last year did the Lake Wallogalag, the Jack Bristol, Connecticut
Yeah, it's in 3 weeks.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, no way would I ever run an ultra on pavement. Like that sounds horrible.
Spencer's
And
going to
then
there, or he did it last year.
not Spencer. Spencer did it last year.
He
Spencer
did it
did the
last year,
50.
right, right, right.
Yeah, he did the 50K last year. My
Okay.
buddy Jamal did the 50.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I think
My
I'm going up to that race because they're sponsored by Mountain Coast now, so I'm gonna go up and run that.
yep.
Do back
Yeah.
to back 50Ks with shore to shore, and then go up and do that in Connecticut.
My hell yeah. My buddy Austin's running that. I would have loved to be there to crew him because I crewed those guys last year, and that experience was like awesome. That experience is awesome because it's like just an ultra race too. It's like
Right.
there's no half marathon distance or it's just like all ultra guys.
Yeah, the New York
But
thing would be pretty epic, but it would just be road.
well, I got yeah. But the thing about that is that there's trails that connect the same way.
Well,
We'll
there's
just
your
leave it at
logistical
that.
nightmare.
Well, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. There's a map back there.
Okay.
There's a map right here.
All right. Because I don't know if you saw, I think I posted something. I don't know if you saw, but there's a guy down here in Long Island, ultra runner. He's a hammer athlete, and he just did Lake George to Montauk.
Oof.
He does every year. He does from Montauk to Manhattan for the Long Island Crisis Center for Mental Health, And this year he wanted to push the envelope a little bit more and make it a huge event. And he went, from Lake George all the way out to Montauk from like March 22nd. I think he started Saturday, and I think he was done by Tuesday. Pretty much knocked off like 75 miles a day, sleep for
That's
2
awesome.
hours in the RV, and then kept on going. And the one he kind of mentioned that same thing. He's like, I love doing these big epic events and I love drawing attention to certain things, but grinding out on the shoulder of the 9W all the way down is it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that.
Do you
But here I
have?
am
Oh, go
about to
ahead.
run
Yeah,
across
there
the
you are
country.
running across the nation. But I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you got to sacrifice the road to do things like that. Do you?
Absolutely.
I mean, do you have something on the calendar to scratch an itch when you're done with that? What anything lined up in the fall before that backyard ultra, or are you just going to enjoy this opportunity to do this, and then wherever the cards fall after this, you'll figure it out?
Yeah, so I think I'm looking for a race, like a hundred mile race, I think. Somewhere somewhere in between July and November.
Okay.
I'm not, I've been kind of back and forth on this because there's like this big FKT I want to do up here at
Mhm.
some point in my running career. I it might not be, I want to do Jigger Johnson too, but I think like that, I don't think that I have a big enough training block, I feel like, between May, because that's in August, right?
Yeah, it's the last.
Or,
They moved it from the last week in July to the last week in August, which was a bummer for me because I was going to knock the 50 out as a training run for UTMB, and when they moved it, I was like, damn it.
damn,
So it's like the same weekend as
I forgot
UTMB
you're
for
going to
me.
UTMB.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I mean, I'll come back from UTMB, and like I said, I love everything that you're a part of, and like I said, I love to witness it too because like you are a different animal when you race, and I don't want to say it's funny like you're a clown, but like it's fun to watch you race. You have a certain sort of like charisma about you, whatever it is, with
That's my,
the blasting death metal music, whatever it is, it's just your hair's on fire and you're just full send, and I love that.
that's just ultra marathon, dude. That you can get like it's, I'm allowed to be feral, I'm allowed to let loose and just like get, I got snot here and goo gels all over my hands. I'm just like, this is where I belong. I love it here.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been really fun to get to know you over the last year, and I'm glad that we finally got to like sit down and lock up this this event
Absolutely,
that you're
yeah.
doing. I hope people will watch. I'm gonna link everything that's going on, and I hope you'll let
Yeah,
me know when you sign up for a 100 because like I said, if there's a
I
100,
will.
I'll do the 50 maybe. I people keep asking me about the fall, and I'm like, well, knowing UTMB, I'm either coming back from that fired up, or I'm coming back from that I'm never running again.
Yeah,
So we'll see. I mean, maybe the backyard ultra will be the next time we link up, but I hope not because that's too far away.
yeah, that is far away. But you guys, you posted that thing, the New Hampshire 50K or something with Mooney, right?
Yeah, we're gonna go up, and I can give you the details on that the last week in June. But how long are you guys gonna? How long is the Transcon supposed to take you?
I think 16 days what we're looking at.
Oh, so yeah, I'll definitely get you the details for that because there's the Pemi Loop and the Prezi Loop up in the New Hampshire mountains, and they're both like pretty much full day events, like 10 to 12 hours for 50 Ks or so. But like up there, super technical, not really runnable. Just kind of want to get my slow hiking legs used to, because my issue is I love to run, and when I did the AT with Jake, the biggest issue for me was I got so frustrated that I couldn't run. Like I'm not the type of guy that was ready to go out there. I just wasn't mentally prepared to go out there and slog up and down Northeast trails and
Yeah,
just walk for 72 miles is what we did for the AT. So like that's part, and I know that that's going to be something I have to do in UTMB. So right now I'm trying to look for things that I know or at least can mentally prepare myself. Because even when I did rim to rim in the Grand Canyon, that's very runnable. Like it's steep down, steep up, but for the 20 miles in the base of the river in between the two climbs, like you do get to do some fair bit of running. But I wanted to do the Prezi. You can run a little bit, but the Pemi is pretty much just like poles out, hiking up and over rocks, scrambles, things like that. It's more of an adventure day, but I'll definitely get you the details to that because
even
I
that,
think,
that sounds awesome.
yeah, I think we're just going to get an Airbnb. And what we might do is depending on weather, because weather in Mount Washington, is freaking wacky and can be crazy.
Yeah.
If we get a good weather window, we're going to do Pemi, Prezi back to back. So we'll do one on like the Friday and the other one on the Saturday. And kind of like, that's my way to celebrate summer too, because that's my first weekend I'm done with school. And then summer Brad comes out and shit starts to get weird.
Yeah. Time to get busy.
That's when the mullet comes out and we start to do weird things. But yeah, man, we'll be in touch. And as I mentioned, I'll make sure I get all the links and stuff from you and we'll get it out to everybody. And if you are listening to this will be on YouTube. Leave a comment, and follow Jordan. And if you have a couple bucks, even if it's $5, give it to him. It's not going to him. He doesn't need. This is not a money grab. He doesn't need. You heard him say he doesn't need to raise a certain amount. It's strictly like what you have to give, and anything you have to give would be awesome.
So the link to the same link that is for the donation, you'll be able to basically read it's a homepage for the run, and there'll be a tracker on the flag, so you'll be able to watch the flag move across the United States. And
that's the baton you guys are using. That's sick.
Yeah. So I think they'll have like personal runner stats, and like all of our names are up there. There's like little digital trading cards of each runner you can download if you want my face on your phone like that. But
it's a handsome face. It's a handsome face.
Yeah. All right. We got different definitions of handsome, but all right.
Well, don't be a little bitch out there. If we're gonna be following personal stats,
No.
I can't be following the guy that's like the weak link,
No, not here.
Full set.
These guys are already putting a leash on me.
Full set.
So like,
full set.
Each time we went down there to train, I just went like balls to the wall blazing and stuff. So they're all worried that I'm going to do that on the run. And like, no, I'm going to, keep it chill 7:30. We're going to relax till we get to Kansas. And when it's flat, I'm going to tear that bitch up.
Love it, man. I love it. That's that type of fire. That's what makes you really, really fun to watch. And I do appreciate your time. Thanks so much, man, for sitting down with me. And yeah, man, thanks. I appreciate you.
Hell yeah. Thank you.